everyone. This is your interviewer Farah, and I'm here at the Education 2.0 Conference Dubai. I have with me Noel. Welcome.
Thank you, Farah.
Can you please introduce yourself and your organization?
Sure. So I'm Noel Paul. I'm with Tiger Careers and Consulting. We're a career coaching and consulting company based in the US, and I'm the founder and president and CEO, and we started the firm in 2018.
So allow me to ask you, based on your years of experience, what do you think are two challenges in the education sector?
Yeah, I think a couple key challenges that I'm observing, and keep in mind that I had an opportunity to work in the education sector. I ran the Career Center at a business school in the US for 2.5 years. And so I had a chance to see it from the higher ed side. And I also had a chance to see it from the employer side because I ran various recruiting initiatives for a large multinational that was based in the US, but we hired globally for various different talent types, whether it was a research facility in Singapore, a manufacturing facility in Washington, D.C., MBAs from all over the world to work all over the world and be key leaders in our different business areas. So I've seen it from a sending talent, growing talent, and also from a receiving talent standpoint. And I think the two challenges that I've seen is, one is helping students with their career planning.
Right.
You know, the resources that universities and higher ed can offer are very limited based on budgets, based on staff size. I know for me, when I ran the Career Center, I had 3,000 undergrad students and 1,000 graduate students, but only a team of about 15 or so that were actually student-facing coaches, okay? And so that just limits the ability for students to get the real support they need. So they get the basics. Can you review my resume? Can you help me prepare for an interview? Can you help me negotiate an offer? But I think one of the key challenges that kind of macro landscape represents is students can't really go deep on really understanding what their career goals are, to really be reflective and process their interests, their passions, because we don't have the bandwidth within the Career Center staff to help them go to that level. So I think that's one of the big challenges. The second challenge, and you may already know this, Feta, is that the world is getting smaller, the workforce is getting multicultural. You can't walk away from a multicultural workforce, whether you work in nonprofits or whether you work in the government sector or whether you work in corporate sector, is that the workforce is multicultural. Well, the second challenge, I think, is higher ed is not able to do as good a job as they could be doing on preparing those students to work and lead across cultures, okay? I'll give you one data point. The Graduate Management Admissions Council surveyed 1,000 employers last year in the US, and they said, what is the most important skill that you want from graduate business students? What do you think it was?
I don't know, to be maybe creative?
It was cross-cultural competence. 81% of over 1,000 recruiters in the US companies said, we expect our graduate business students to have cross-cultural competence both for now and in the future. But if you go back and look at the curriculum and the experiences that students are getting in graduate business programs, very few are really hitting that sweet spot. So I think, again, in summary, career planning and cross-cultural competencies are probably the two biggest challenges that I see.
And how do you and your firm plan on resolving those challenges, or maybe making them a bit easier for students out there?
Yeah, so what I had done since I had ran recruiting initiatives for this multinational is I learned that candidates just weren't prepared to be able to articulate what they really wanted and why they really wanted it, right? And so when I started my company, I put together a career development methodology, okay? And that career development methodology really focuses on, first, let's help you find what is it that you're really interested in, what are the skills that you have, and what are you really good at, and what are you passionate about? And then let's use some of those insights to help you get those insights and uncover those insights by asking you the right provocative, reflective questions, and then help you really shape what your career goals are, and then develop a strategy for that targeted career goal, and then get to the tactics of the resume, the LinkedIn profile, and stuff like that. So I think one solution that we can offer as Noel and Tiger Careers and Consulting is a career development methodology called the CASE approach that will really help students and universities be able to kind of provide this resource for the students, because it's a little bit of them doing it on their own, and it's a little bit of them getting the right coaching to kind of process that methodology.
And could you briefly tell us what inspired you to start that?
Yeah, honestly, it's because, well, two things really happened. One is when I was interviewing candidates, especially for our MBA program, I would ask them, why do you want to work in the healthcare sector? Or why do you want to work at our specific company? And they would say things like, well, my grandmother had diabetes. And I'm like, well, a lot of grandmothers have diabetes. I really want to know, why do you really want to work for that? Because when we hire people, we want them to come to our company. We want them to stay for a long time. We're going to invest in their training and development. And I found that was a real gap. The second gap I saw was the answers to the questions that we were getting from candidates were just not good, right? So you would spend a whole day of interviewing 10, 12 people back to back to back to back, and maybe only a few would advance, right? So I thought, how can I help based on being on this side of the interview table and helping the candidates who are on the other side? So that was really one kind of key motivator. Second one was, I have two daughters. And so my older daughter was, kind of coming up through high school and college. So I said, look, Sharina, you're not going to be that way, right? And my younger one, Tanisha, I'm like, you're not going to be that way. And so just coming up with those methodologies, and I've got one for college students and one for high school students.
That's amazing. Yeah, that must definitely help lots of students out there, for sure.
Yeah. One of the things I hear from students that we walk through this exercise with is they feel like they have clarity. Right? Because I will make them say their goal out loud, and I'll say, write it down, say it out loud, and then I'll ask them how you feel when you say it out loud, because now they're clear on their goal. Well, it's because they did a lot of work to get clear, but they say things like, this is so helpful. This is so energizing. This is motivating for me. I'm now motivated to go work on whatever I can do to pursue this goal. So those are some of the feedbacks I've received.
That's incredible work. Thank you so much for all that you do for students out there.
Yeah.
Now, allow me to ask you about your experience at the conference so far. How have you found it?
Sure. No, it's been a great conference. This is my first time to Dubai, my first time to the 2.0 conferences, and it's been really, really amazing from a standpoint of the overall experience of what Education 2.0, the way it's organized, the logistics. So kudos to the team. And then also just the panelists, the other folks that I've been able to meet and network with and stuff like that. So that's, I think, a little bit more of kind of my experience.
That's fantastic. We're glad to know you're having a good time, and hopefully you enjoy the second and third day as well.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I'm learning is this whole cross-cultural element. There are people from the UK, there are people from India, there are people from Dubai, there are people from the US.
Very diverse.
Yeah, and that was one of the second challenges I wanted to mention from the university side is, students aren't getting help with cross-cultural competencies. And that's the other thing that Tiger Careers and Consulting can do is we help with helping to train students as well as university staff on cross-cultural competencies so they can be more effective in working and leading across cultures, as well as managing their transition if they're moving to a different country for their education as well.
Can you share with us your website if people would like to check it out?
Yeah, it's tigercareers.biz, and on there it's got some of our offerings. It also has a little bit more bio about myself. I'm also on LinkedIn as Noel S. Paul, and lots of good ways to find out more. And they can also reach out and contact me through the website as well. They can schedule a consult if that helps to learn a little bit more about us.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Noel. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you, Farah.
Thank you.